For nearly a decade, Manchester United suffered from a tactical illness. It wasn't a lack of talent. It wasn't a lack of money. It was a lack of geometry. They called it the kill zone, a 40-yard wasteland in the middle of the pitch, where careers went to die. World-class midfielders arrived in Manchester and looked lost. The game was played like basketball, end-to-end, high chaos, zero control. Everyone was screaming for a revolution. But the answer wasn't a shout. It was a whisper. They call him the quiet architect. And while the headlines focused on the superstars, Michael Carrick was quietly installing a new operating system, a system built on invisible lines, patience, and a teenage prodigy who plays with the heartbeat of a veteran. Today, we aren't just looking at highlights. We are deconstructing the blueprint. We are going to show you how the ghost of Michael Carrick's tactics unlocked Kobbie Mainoo, fixed the broken engine, and brought the one thing back to Old Trafford that matters most: control. Welcome back to the channel. To understand the evolution we are witnessing in Manchester United's midfield. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Kobbie Mainoo didn't suddenly become good. He didn't magically develop composure overnight. For a period, he simply didn't fit the system. Before Carrick's influence took hold, Manchester United flirted with a very different idea under Ruben Amorim's blueprint. A 3-4-3. Aggressive, vertical, relentless. On paper, it looked modern, but in reality, it came with a hidden cost. Amorim's structure relies on a two-man midfield pivot. Two players, huge responsibility. They must cover massive horizontal space, win duels constantly, transition vertically in seconds, defend wide channels when wingbacks push high. This isn't a system built for pause. It's built for momentum. And that's where Kobbie Mainoo was left behind. Not because he lacked quality, not because he lacked courage, but because a two-man midfield in a 3-4-3 is unforgiving. There is nowhere to hide, no spare angle, no third man to release pressure. For a young midfielder who thrives on angles, timing, and positioning, the setup was suffocating. So United did what many teams do in chaos. They chose safety. They favored physical coverage, direct running, midfielders who could survive the storm, even if they couldn't control it. And Mainoo, a player built for geometry, not firefighting, was left watching. But then something changed. Carrick's philosophy, quietly, began to reshape the team's spine. The midfield stopped being a battlefield and became a control room. The shift away from a rigid two-man pivot was everything. Suddenly, Mainoo wasn't asked to cover space. He was asked to occupy it. With a compact shape behind him, with rest defense securing the back line, with passing triangles forming naturally, Mainoo didn't have to fight the game anymore. He could read it. This is the difference between a system that asks, "Can you survive?" and one that asks, "Can you think?" Carrick didn't force Kobbie into the team. He created a team Kobbie could exist inside. And once that happened, the entire shape of Manchester United changed. But here's the part nobody is talking about. This wasn't just about getting Kobbie Mainoo back into the United team. It was about fixing a system that was breaking midfielders and replacing chaos with something far more dangerous: control. Because once you see what Carrick changed next, you'll understand why this Manchester United side suddenly looks impossible to press. We first have to understand the trauma that came before it. For 3 seasons, United played what analysts call artificial transition, a style built on risk. The defensive line dropped deep, out of fear. The forward line pressed high, out of ambition. The result? A team stretched so thin, you could drive a bus through the middle. This is where the narrative shifts. We often think of managers as the sole authors of a team's style, but sometimes it's about lineage, a way of thinking. Back in the day, the Ferguson operating system wasn't just about passion, it was about space management. Michael Carrick, a student of that system, understood something modern United had forgotten. You don't win games by running more than the opponent. You win by standing in the right place, so you don't have to run. In this video, we are breaking down the 3 pillars of this tactical revival: the compactness trap that protects the back 4, the double pivot mechanics that allow Mainoo to flourish, and the psychological shift from chaos to calculation. This is the story of how the midfield was rebuilt. Let's look at the crime scene. This is a heat map. from the chaotic era. Notice the shape? It's a donut. The kill zone is this empty space. Right here, in the Premier League. If you give an opponent time on the ball in this zone, you are dead. United's center backs were terrified of pace and behind, so they retreated. Meanwhile, the attackers hunted the ball. When the vertical distance between your striker and your center back is 60 meters, your midfielders are stranded, trying to cover an ocean with a bucket. This is why Casemiro looked exposed. This is why talented players looked lazy. They weren't lazy. They were geographically compromised. Carrick's philosophy, which has seeped into the current tactical evolution, starts with shrinking the pitch. It is the death of chaos ball. The first adjustment is defensive line height. But it's not just pushing up. It's rest defense. Rest defense is what you do when you have the ball. Before, United threw everyone forward. Now, look at the structure. When the team attacks, the midfield pivot doesn't crash the box. They sit. They lock the door. By compressing space, the kill zone disappears. Suddenly, when United lose the ball, the opponent has nowhere to run. They are suffocated. Immediately. It's not magic. It's compression. And this compression is the only reason a player like Kobbie Mainoo can exist in this team. Which brings us to the protagonist of our story, Kobbie Mainoo. For years, United searched for a destroyer, someone to run and tackle and suffer. But Carrick's influence reminds us of something simple. The best form of defense is keeping the ball. There's a Dutch concept called the pull, the post. A midfielder who stays central, doesn't chase, doesn't drift. The team rotates around him. Mainoo is the modern incarnation of the Carrick role. Watch this clip. Most young players panic here. They pass immediately. Mainoo doesn't. He waits. He uses the pause by holding the ball for half a second longer. He invites pressure. He baits the defender. This is psychological warfare. The quiet architect, teaching patience as a weapon. Carrick mastered the pass before the assist. Mainoo is mastering the dribble before the release. Look at his body shape. Always on the half turn. Always scanning. Milliseconds saved. And at this level, milliseconds decide games. Mainoo isn't thriving because he's stronger. He's thriving because he's calmer. Now let's open the engine room. The Ferguson era thrived on partnerships. Scholes and Carrick, Rio and Vidic. Today, it's the double pivot. Two midfielders, connected by an invisible rope. If one drops, the other rises. Diagonal lanes. Triangles. Football's strongest shape. This is why Mainoo is never isolated. And when the fullbacks invert, tucking inside, United create a box midfield. For versus 2, numerical dominance. The system carries the weight, so the talent can breathe. And then, the trap is sprung. The opponent is forced wide. The moment the ball hits the touchline. Snap. Compactness allows Mainoo to press 5 yards, not 40. Energy saved. Explosiveness preserved. Structure in defense. Freedom in attack. The balance United lost. For a decade, Michael Carrick may not be in the technical area today, but his blueprint is everywhere. He didn't fix United with a sledgehammer. He used a scalpel. Kobbie Mainoo is the proof of concept. The kill zone is closing. The panic is fading. And for the first time in years, when you watch the Manchester United midfield, you don't feel fear. You feel calm. If you enjoyed this tactical breakdown, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. And tell me in the comments, is Kobbie Mainoo the system? Or is the system what makes him special? Let's debate it below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.